Dwayne Wade or LeBron James? Which one is the top Heat player of the last 25 years? We debate that and preview the upcoming Media Day on today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real Jam Radio, and I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day, including on Media Days. We're going to get to our finale of our 25 of 25 series in a second. But first, David, Media Day is on Monday. I can't believe it's here already. It's wild. We're going to be there. We're going to be there at Kaseya Center. We'll have our table. We're going to be talking to players and coaches. We're going to have a bunch of exclusive interviews that we're going to have up on the feed. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss them. They're going to be coming out. Really no schedule at all. Is when I finish producing them, they're going to be hitting the feed. So just make sure that you're tuning in so you don't miss anything. Also, I guess we'll be having our reactions as well to what we hear at Media Day. This is, I think, one of the most highly anticipated Media Days that I can remember for the Miami Heat, David, because it is very much the start of a new era. We're going to talk about the questions that we want answered, and boy, do we have a lot of them, David.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. It is the beginning of a new era. No Jimmy Butler. And now entering the next phase of whatever iteration this is at the Miami Heat. It could just be the holdover. It could be a stopgap in between eras, as we've seen from 2016 to 2019, until Jimmy Butler joined the team. And then, of course, the departure of Dwayne Wade in 2016. Or it could be the years in between the Big Three era and the end of the Shaquille O'Neal era. I mean, we've seen this before. Usually eras are defined by championship success or at least championship contention, having a superstar on the team to kind of define this group. Right now, the team lacking that superstar, but still an interesting group, a lot of potential there. And we're not quite sure what we're going to see from this team because, of course, Tyler Herro is going to be out for the start of the season. But will Bam Adebayo step up? Will Norman Powell learn how to fit in? So many different things that we're expecting, and a lot of questions that we'll be asking players and coaches on Monday.
What is different about this start of this new bridge or era, or whatever we end up calling it, versus when Shaq left or when LeBron left, is that this team is stocked with young talent, real talent, first-round talent, 7-footers, really athletic tweener combo type of forwards, interesting scorers. Like, there's a lot of talent and young talent on this roster that it's starting now to feel like a rebuilding team in a way, which seems strange to say with a guy like Bam Adebayo on the roster, who's such an accomplished player in this league. But even Tyler Herro, who's a 6 Man of the Year award winner, right? Like, these are accomplished players. But Wiggins is a champion, right? Like, these guys have resumes, but for the most part, there's this young talent kind of brewing that I think makes for sort of this interesting thing that we might be on the cusp of here. So here's what I did. I have a list of questions that I want asked and answered on Media Day. You know how this works, David. We might get a chance to ask these questions. We might not. Media Day is a little bit of a scramble. Eric Spoelstra will talk to everybody. A handful of players will talk to everybody in the media room. You and I will have a chance to talk with probably Spo in the media room, maybe a couple of players in the media room, but then you and I have to dash over to our table where we're going to have our exclusive sit-down one-on-ones with other players, and that really is a mad scramble. But so when I say these are the questions that we want answered, what I mean by this is we will ask these questions if we can, but we're not making any promises because the entire thing is a little bit of a hurricane. That said, you and I both prepared some questions that we want to have asked. I broke them down. I don't know how you did it, but I broke mine down by person I wanted to ask these to. I don't know if you did something similar, but I want to start
general questions. I was thinking mostly of questions I would ask Spoelstra in the beginning of the.
Well, let's start with Spo then, because that's where I wanted to begin. Maybe this one's obvious. What's the starting lineup, particularly when Tyler Herro is out to start the season? And I want to know what it is after Herro comes back, but that obviously is a little bit harder to answer for him. But how does he view the Tyler Herro injury and the impact on this roster? And how does he plan to adjust the starting lineup, if at all, other than just promoting somebody? Are there domino effects, ripple effects across the starting lineup because of Herro's injury? In other words, David, what's the starting lineup going to be on opening night? I wonder how Erik Spoelstra is leaning.
It's a great question, one that we're all curious about, but we might as well ask him what's our purpose in the universe, because we know he's not going to give us an answer. I mean, we know that, right?
You're right.
Like Erik Spoelstra wouldn't give us what the starting lineup is in between games, like with minutes leading up to tip-off. He's not going to tell us what the starting lineup is. It's a heavily guarded state secret. They will not reveal that. And to his point, though, he's not sure. I think he's got an inkling of where this might go, but he's looking for certain players to step up, how players are going to mesh, what they're going to be able to do in conjunction with one another, and then make a determination at that some point. Is there something kind of preset already in his mind? I would say yes and no. I think he's clearly looking at Bam Adebayo. I would say Norm Powell.
I wonder if that might be a better way to frame it. Do you have anybody like in Sharpie in your starting lineup? How many positions do you think are up for grabs in that starting lineup? Understanding that Bam is definitely in it. I think Wiggins is in Sharpie. I'm with you. I think Norm Powell, especially even before Tyler Herro got hurt, I wasn't really buying this Norm Powell might come off the bench stuff. Yeah. But especially after Tyler Herro got hurt, like Norm Powell is starting. But how many of these other spots are up for grabs? That's interesting. What else did you have?
Well, something similar. What's the path to unlocking what this team can do offensively while your top scorer recovers from surgery? Because we've talked about it. We've debated it. What are we looking for from this group? And with Tyler missing the first few weeks of the season, how do you recover from that? How do you still maintain an injury knowing, well, hey, you know what? It might change in 6 to 8 weeks upon his return, whatever. Maybe 8 to 10 weeks, maybe 10 to 12 weeks. Again, whatever Tyler returns, you're going to be adding something to that. But at least you want to be able to lay a foundation down during the start of training camp and going into the preseason. And what version of that offense do we see early on? Because I think that's where the question is. We know what they're going to do defensively. They're going to try and do as much as they can. They're going to switch. They're going to be able to do some things here. I think we're going to see more drop, obviously, with Kel'el Ware. But we're also going to see something offensively that I think we have to have seen differently than what we've seen over the last few years. No Jimmy Butler.
The offense has to change. What are you just straight up? What do you want to accomplish on offense this year? Is it more threes? Is it more shots on goal? He's going to say all of it, but it's Spo does have a reputation of not giving anything away. He did kind of glean a little bit what he was trying to accomplish at media day and in training camp last year in terms of trying to get a little bit more 5-out. Talk specifically about watching the teams that won the championship. He means the Boston Celtics and what they did and what that means and what lessons that they can learn from that. So I think he might have something interesting to say. So a little bit of a peek behind the journalism curtain here. One of my biggest pet peeves in either a media scrum setting or just like that, massive interview type of press conference setting is when reporters have a preamble to their question for context that the person they're asking obviously knows, right? So for instance, like Tyler Herro, you scored 30 points tonight. What was going through your head? Which is a terrible question anyway, but
that is
it's like Tyler knows he scored 30 points. You could just say, hey, big game for you. What was going through your head? You don't have to give me he knows the context. He's very aware. So for instance, Erik Spoelstra, your team ranked in the bottom 10 in offensive rating in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
What's your plan to not do that this year? That said, that is exactly what I want to ask Erik Spoelstra. But specifically, here's the context that I want to include. Teams that reach the finals, not even one, in the finals, to make the finals the last 2 seasons, those teams have not ranked lower than 8th in offensive rating. It's not enough to be 15th. It's not enough to be 12th. It's not enough to be in the top 10. You got to be 8th or better. What's the plan to improve the offense to that degree? And I know Tyler's going to be out for the start of the season. I don't care. When Tyler comes back for the games that matter, what's your plan by the end of the season to have a top 8 type of offense? That specifically, I would love to know that and whether or not, and Erik Spoelstra will never say that is he willing to sacrifice some defense to get better on offense. We understand he will never admit that, but would he? You know what I mean? Like I would love to ask that and get an honest answer. This one I have for Bam.
This one I have about Bam.
How do you view your responsibilities on the court for a team? And do you think you need to be a number 1 scoring option, even if you have to sacrifice a bit of what you do on the defensive end?
Great question. Something similar here. Fans have expected more from Bam Adebayo despite all the ways he impacts winning. While you typically don't like putting a ceiling on what a player is capable of, and I had to phrase it this way. I know it's kind of fitting into what you're saying as far as a preamble. I want to know, what are your expectations from Bam? Because you almost have to call him a little bit. You almost have to say, look, I know what Bam can do. I love Bam. Bam is great. But let's be real here, Spo. What do you expect from him? Because that's the whole thing. Like, I want to hear Eric Spoelstra give his thoughts, but I'm curious. That's a great question. And I wonder how Bam would respond to it if you were to ask a question like that. Because for him, he's going to say, just compete, do what I can.
I don't think so. I think that's what Spo says. I think Spo, we know what Bam's all about. He's respected in this locker room and across the league. We know that he's our leader, and we go blah, 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 blah.
Could be.
Bam would say, I think Bam might say something like, I'm looking forward to maybe stepping up offensively as a number one scoring option, knowing what my role is on a night-to-night basis. And the subtext there is obvious. I think that really quick, I got how many more questions do you have? Maybe we take a break and come back on the other side of it. But
no, I think we just get one more each because we don't want to give.
All right, you go quick.
Just what do you expect from Terry Rozier? Like, what is Terry Rozier on this team?
Fair enough. And then for Nico, I just want to ask, contract year, what are your goals? Did you feel like you took a leap in Serbia? What did you learn from Nikola Jokic during that run? I'm very interested to talk to Nico, and we are prepared to talk to Nico. He is on our list of guys that we plan to talk to. So hopefully we will get a chance to ask him that.